Hello, and welcome to the Book Buzz Show. I am your host, Cheryl Brooks. And if you're new here, welcome. And if you are returning, welcome back. If you enjoy the upcoming show, please do me a favor and like, follow, subscribe, and share the broadcast. Um, some of you, I don't, if you're returning, you probably know I took a little break to work on my health, both mentally and physically, which I'm trying to be more mindful of. And that's something that we all need to probably be mindful of. But I am so happy to be back doing, what I love and what I'm passionate about, and that's talking about books and having amazing discussions with authors about their work and other book lovers. Um, for those of you who are new to the show, here at the Book Buzz Show, we do talk a little about the book and the characters. I don't normally give any major spoilers though, and if I do, I normally will mention it beforehand. There have been like a few times where we did do a deep dive into a story, but I did let the audience know ahead of time. That won't be tonight. Tonight we will just be we will talk about the book, but we won't give any major spoilers that will spoil it for anyone. The show is evolving, and there are some amazing changes coming our way or your way. And one of the things that has already changed is that, in addition to being a live broadcast, we are now, the Book Buzz Show is also now a podcast. So you can check us out at the Book Buzz Show with Cheryl. You have to put that with Cheryl on the end. And wherever you get your podcast, you should be able to follow us. Please make sure you do follow us so you'll stay up with the most current interviews. And when you're on the go, you can listen. And in addition to that, there are some other major changes and really fun things on the horizon. So stay tuned. Before I bring on the guest and my co-host for tonight, I'd like to shout out the sponsor of this week's broadcast, and that is the Detroit Style brand. And the Detroit Style brand supports and showcases the city of Detroit through their apparel. And the great thing about it is that you don't have to be from Detroit to rep the Detroit Style brand's apparel. So make sure to follow them on their Instagram page at the Detroit Style brand and check out their amazing wear. They really have some great apparel and very creative designs. So make sure to check them out. And again, they are our sponsors for this week. This week's broadcast, both today and Thursday. So I will also be mentioning them on the next broadcast on Thursday. All right. So now let's bring tonight's guest and co-host. My co-host for tonight is Katina Brown, and she has helped me out several times on the broadcast in recent months. And my guest author for tonight is L.R. Jackson, and we will be discussing her book, which is The Accidental Queen. And as you can see, the book cover is on the screen. Beautiful cover, by the way. I love it. It just might make my best book cover list. So without further ado, let me just bring on tonight's guest and tonight's co-host. Hello, ladies.
Hi. Hello.
Welcome. All right, let's get right into it. Let me, I think I have a couple of comments out here. Let me see. We have some, hello, Ola. Hello, Lisa. Hello, Deanne. Thank you for joining us. All right. So, LR, if you could tell the audience a little bit about your writing journey and like when did you start professionally writing and what was your journey from then until now?
Absolutely. So I've actually been writing since I was about 12 years old. I used to write short stories. I used to write poems, things of that nature. I won a short story contest, and it required me to fly to Chicago to earn my prize. Well, I'm from a family that didn't fly, and my parents pretty much said no, and I had to forfeit the prize to somebody else.
Oh no.
Yeah. So at that moment, I'm like, you know what? One day I'm going to write a book and people are going to read my story. And so I just stayed true to that. I never lost the passion. I always had the stories in my head. I always would write down little things, but I became a mom. And so that took up most of my life. And when my daughter became a teenager and got her own social life, that's when I actually wrote my first novel, which was published under a subsidiary publishing company, and went on to write probably, I want to say maybe 10 novels under her. And then she decided not to have the company anymore, and I got the rights back and I self published for a while until I got connected with Black Odyssey Publishing and was able to have my first traditionally published novel. So
Ah,
that's when I met.
congratulations with that.
Yeah, thank you.
So what is the main difference that you see between being self-published and traditionally published? Have you noticed?
For me, I haven't noticed too much of a difference only because I'm lucky enough to be with a publisher that allows me to have some type of creative control and to be able to still have an input on certain things. But usually, with a traditionally published company, they're the ones choosing the covers. Some of the changes and updates they want made to the story, the author may not be in align with, and sometimes it
Mm,
just doesn't always mesh.
Mhm.
I'm fortunate enough to be with the publishing company where my voice is heard. They allow me to be me. They allow me to write how I write. It's not always on agreement, but if there's something where they feel like I should go here, and I'm strong and I feel strongly about it, like no, I think it should stay here. They do
right.
weigh that in and they listen, and we kind of sort it out. So yeah. I would say the biggest one would be deadlines. 'Cause when you self-publish, it's like, I'll release it whenever.
Right.
Maybe this week, maybe next
Right.
month. But
Mhm.
with the traditional publisher, you have deadlines. You got
Right.
editing deadlines, publishing deadlines, and you do your best to make sure you stick with it so that you have a successful release.
And that's good. I'm glad that you got with a publisher that recognizes, that where you still can kind of keep your hand on the pulse of what you
Yes.
intend for the book, right?
Yes, it's super important to me because when it comes to my creativity, I don't want it to steer too far away from who I am.
Right.
And, that's one of the great benefits of who I'm signed with. So.
Now, for those who haven't read the book yet, can you give us a little bit about what the book is about?
Yes. So The Accidental Queen is a royal fairy tale. It's about a character named King Dafari, who pretty much runs into an ex of his that he was madly in love with. It's a second chance romance, forbidden romance, which is my thing. Readers who read my work will see that my style of writing is usually second chance and forbidden romance, either
Okay.
both or one or the other. They're suspenseful, full of twists and turns, and this book is no different. It just goes on the journey of a king who is pretty much commanded into an arranged marriage, but doesn't want it. He wants to marry someone that he's in love with.
Right.
So he runs into her, and unfortunately, she doesn't know about him. She's hiding a secret that he doesn't know about, and the story just takes you through this suspenseful journey all the way to the happy ending, of course.
Right, and that's what I like too, because I love good suspense,
Mm-hmm.
mystery.
Yes.
So I did like that it had some of that in there as well as the royal um,
Yeah.
factor.
Yeah. The way that I am, if you're a Harlequin sappy romance reader, that's not really my thing.
Hmm.
There's gonna be some sappiness in it because it's romance, right?
Right,
So you're gonna
Right.
have the declaration of love and stuff like that. But for me, it really is about the suspense and the plot. Like I really love to create a good plot for the reader so that they're not just getting a love story, but they're getting an entire story overall with the aspects of the romance.
right, and you definitely achieved that in this
Thank you.
book, don't you
Thank you.
think, Katina?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And now I've always been fascinated by, with royalty, is particularly the British royalty, and that's probably because they're the most
Yes.
famous.
Yes.
Um, so has it always been like that for you as well? Is that what made you decide to do one on the royals?
Yep, yeah, same here. I've probably watched every royal show there is, from
Me
Tudor
too.
dynasty to, just everybody. Mary Queen of Scots. I mean, that's what they put out, right?
Right.
You rarely see stories about African American royalty. And
True.
so that's why this was so important to me, because I'm like, well, what if we had our own story, and I just could not wait to write the characters and about the country of Africa and just tie it all together.
I love that aspect of it because you don't. We see a lot of like the British monarchy and other countries, but you don't see a lot of the African royal. So it was
Yeah,
good to read that angle. And how did you come up with the name of the African country that the fire was from?
it's really a crazy way. So I was doing my family history, and I traced my dad's mother's side of the family from Eastern Shore, Virginia. They're from a small town called Mapachinga.
Okay.
And there's like the Mapachinga Indians and all this stuff. And for whatever reason, when I saw Mapachinga, that name came into my mind for the country, because I didn't have the name at first. And I'm like, oh, let me rearrange this a little bit and just come up with something. And that's really how I came up with it.
That was gonna be my question. Was it a real,
No, no. So I kept it. I created my own African country. I
Okay.
did not want to offend anyone who's
Mhm.
actually from Africa. I've never been, and I don't know enough about the country to make it as authentic as it should be.
Right.
So I created my own country and just did some research on, if I went to Africa, how do I want it to look? How do I want the water to look, the flowers, the trees? And it was so much fun just creating this country that I'm so excited to maybe visit at some point in my life.
Right.
But that's really how it came about.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Love that.
And now, have you ever met a royal? Anyone that's royal?
I have not. No, I've never met anybody of royalty that I'm aware of.
Now, if you could meet anyone, who would it be? Who would be your dream
Oh God,
royal to meet?
man. You know what? I think I would want to meet Harry,
You know what? I think so too. But you
him
know,
and Megan.
yeah. But you
Hey,
know,
that's as close as we're gonna get right
That's
now to us.
true.
I mean,
But you know what? I would have loved to have met Queen Elizabeth.
yes, Queen Elizabeth, yes, but I would have loved to have met King Henry VIII, so I could say, you really killed all your wives.
That
Like,
crazy, yes.
like, how did you sleep at night? Like, you literally beheaded like all of your
I
wives.
think all of them except for what, two or three. I think he
Yeah,
beheaded.
except for two or three.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be an interesting conversation.
I agree. What about you, Katina? Who would you like to meet? Roy, that's
I'm on
royal.
board with Megan and Harry, I think.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
for
it's a
sure.
possibility because they're here in the States, so you
Yes.
never know. You never
But it
know.
would have been also nice to meet Diana, before.
Oh yeah, most
yes.
definitely, most
No,
definitely.
that
Yes.
is true. That is true.
Without him.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
I don't know how I forgot about Diana, but you're right. I would have
Me
Yeah.
loved to have met her.
too. Yeah, I don't know how, I think she probably was the most down to earth and genuine one
Right.
as far as
Yeah.
not letting it go to her head and all. And probably because she came from stature and wealth and all before she even married into
Right.
the family.
Right.
So she probably was like, I'm not that impressed.
What about you all in the audience? What royal are you? Do you follow the royals? And if you do, who would you like to meet? Put it in the comments. Also, we have a couple of Facebook usernames. If you go into the description, you can give permission to StreamYard to use your name and your face. Let's see.
This is Harry.
Deanna is saying Princess Diana. Yes. Yeah.
For sure.
Lisa is saying Harry, so she agrees with you too.
Harry, yeah.
Mhm.
He's a cutie too with his red hair.
He is. Him and the brother look completely different. 'Cause
Yeah.
Completely.
the other one,
Sure.
Oh, Deanne said Harry too.
yeah.
Yeah, I like him.
You know what? Harry has a little swag too.
He
I
does.
think so too. You're right.
He
Yeah.
got a little.
Yeah, he does. He does. I don't think any of us were surprised when he married Megan.
Yeah. That's right.
Mhm.
That's why he was down with the swirl, huh?
Mhm. Yes.
Right, Dan. He does. He moves to the
Yep,
beat.
he does. He
Yeah.
really does. And you gotta respect it.
Right. Right.
Got him.
All right. Now, are you ready to do the excerpt? And then
Oh,
we'll go back into
yes.
some more questions.
Yes. So here's the book. So I'm going to read the prologue.
Okay.
Okay.
This is from Dafari's standpoint, and it takes place in Mafachika, Africa.
Okay.
I stare ahead at the ceiling, the weight of what's about to happen pressing heavily on my mind. In a few short hours, my life will change, and I'm not sure if it'll change for the better or for the worse. Truthfully, it really doesn't matter because what's about to happen is inevitable. It's my destiny. I look down at the brown skinned beauty lying next to me. Her legs are tangled with mine under the soft satin sheets, and her palm rests on my chest. Her dark hair is splayed across the cream colored pillow that's decorated with smudges of her red lipstick. She stirs before her eyes pop open. Good morning, Your Highness. Good morning, and I'm not your king yet. She smiles as she lightly drags her nails down my chest, obviously hoping for a few more rounds of hot and sweaty sex before she leaves. But it's not happening. I'm not in the mood. I grab her hand and move it away from my chest as I sit up and toss the sheets back. I feel her hands on my shoulder as I sit on the edge of the bed. What's wrong? Nothing that needs to be discussed with you, Ify. I feel the bed dip as she moves closer, sliding her hand further down my chest. Oh, come on, I'm a great listener. I didn't bring you here to talk. Is this all that will ever be between us, Dafari? I come here, let you have your way with me, and then you send me away? I turn around to face her. I'm the future king. What did you think this would be? She places her hand on my shoulder. A king needs a queen. I rise to my feet and grab my robe, shoving my arms into it quickly. Somehow I knew this day would come, the day she would want more than what I'm willing to give her. I've been sleeping with Ify for about 2 months now. She's beautiful and great in bed, but I have no plans on settling down with her, or anyone else for that matter. I spin around and she's already standing in front of me. Her face is tight and her eyes are cold and emotionless. Dafari, is there someone else? Yes. I'm not answering that question. I made my intentions with you very clear, Ify. I know, but I thought, what? That fucking me every night would make me marry you? You son of a... I grab her hand just before it slaps me in the face. I shove it down and take a step closer to her. Watch it. I would hate to have you in prison for striking the king. She huffs. You wouldn't. I smirk. Of course I wouldn't. I'm not that much of an asshole, regardless of what you think. Her face softens, causing me to feel guilty. Look, I don't want to hurt you, but I told you up front, sex is it for me. But it doesn't have to be that way. If you would just let me in and open your heart to me, we could be more. I place a kiss on her forehead. I can't be what you need, Ivy. I'm sorry. Yeah, me too. She gives me a solemn nod, tightens the sheet around her, and walks away. The door slams behind her, and I release a heavy breath as I plop down on my chase. My intentions weren't to hurt her or any of the women I've entertained. No matter how candid I try to be, they all try to change my mind. They should have listened to me. They should have taken heed when I said it would just be sex between us. Finding a queen will be a mere technicality for me simply because it's my duty. My marriage will never be about love. It can't be, because there's only one woman for me, one woman who's earned my trust, one woman who I respect greatly, and one woman who is fit to rule beside me as queen. But unfortunately, she has no idea that I'm royalty.
I like that scene. And at first I felt bad for, how do you pronounce her name? Ivy?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And at first I felt bad for, but then I got what he was saying too, that he let it be known up front
Mm-hmm.
what it
Yeah.
was going to be.
Yeah. And as you read on, you kind of see that she had her own agenda anyway,
Right.
you know, and he wasn't feeling it.
Right.
Really wasn't.
Yeah. So
He already had met his soulmate,
yeah.
and he was just waiting for the opportunity. Well, he didn't know if he was going to see her again or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I think he just, he's a man, he's young, he has needs. I think he just was just sowing his oats until he, was matched with someone and just was going to take it from there.
Right, because he was willing. It seemed like he was willing to do his duty, but
yeah,
but his heart was definitely not into it.
Yeah.
What did you think, Katina, about that scene?
I actually listened to that earlier today as I was in the car. I got the Audible. I didn't get the book, so when I was doing a little refresher. So I thought, like you said, I saw both sides of the coin. I saw her point of view and what she was trying to get at, because she wanted to be queen, period, point blank. And she thought what she was doing was going to work, know, to get it. And obviously she didn't realize that there was another pull, a stronger pull somewhere else. And like you said, he was just gonna do his duty and take the role, and whatever came with it. But whoever, even if it wasn't her, whoever he was going to pick still wouldn't get his heart.
Yeah.
It was, whoever it was, they just were gonna be on paper as queen.
Yeah.
So,
now I did at first feel like she actually had real feelings for him.
She did.
Yeah, she did. They've known each other since they were younger. They've been sleeping together. She had feelings for him, but at the end of the day, I think the goal was really to be in position of queen.
Right. And I think he actually called her out on it, didn't he? Didn't he ask her? I think he actually called her out. Yeah.
Yep, he did. She didn't love him the way that he wanted to be loved.
Right. Because I think they had been childhood friends, so they had that kind of like connection.
Right, and he had already reserved that spot. That spot was already filled. So there were like zero replacements for it. So
thank you, Antoinette. And that's my mom's middle name, Antoinette.
And Ola is saying that she's definitely getting the book.
Thank you, Ola. I hope you enjoy it.
Now, which character or moment from the book prompted the strongest emotional reaction to you while writing, if any?
So the strongest emotional reaction to me while writing that absolutely broke my heart was when gosh, I gotta figure out how to say it without ruining it. There's a scene where so Ebony and Defari become kind of separated for a period of time. There's a scene where he sees her and he asks her for an explanation and she can't say.
Right.
And so he screams like, answer me. Like his internal thoughts are like, wait a minute, like what is happening? I love this woman. Is she against me now? And it just breaks his heart.
Right.
And so just diving into that emotion that he felt and how he's begging her to tell me what's going on and she's in a position where she can't. It was pretty it was pretty deep.
Yeah, and I could actually feel the frustration with how frustrating that would be. Hi, Jennifer, you're okay. How frustrating that would be to really be into somebody and want to build a future with somebody, but you know that they're not giving you their all. Which he wasn't either, though. To be
he wasn't.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Let's see. We have another comment. This is by far my absolute favorite romance book. Okay.
Oh, that's my best friend, y'all. She
okay.
Everything.
Good best friend.
Go best friend.
And that's another thing I loved in the book is, and I say this all the time, is I love strong friendships that are legit. So I loved Ebony and Shaya's relationship.
Yes. So all my books, the majority of my books, except for a few for reasons, they all have strong, close best friends and people around them that are just through them through thick and thin, someone that's not judgmental. And that comes from my relationship with my best friend. And I have two other sisters. So I have three close women in my life that I can go to for anything. And the relationship between Ebony and Shaya models me and my best friend so closely that it was so easy to write. Like the things that her best friend would say, that Shaya would say, is something my best friend would say to me. And just the love they have and how Shaya's always willing to help. You notice throughout the book, Shaya's like, let me do this, let me do that, that's how my best friend is. And I'm usually like, no, I've got it, I'm okay.
Right.
Always like, listen, that's what best friends are for. That's why I'm here, Now, unlike my situation, in the book, Ebony had a reason why, she was just very prideful. And I think that she was just grateful that Shaya was her friend to begin with, considering she had confided in her about, her past.
Right.
That was enough for her. She didn't need any extra money. She didn't need help doing XYZ. She needed a friend, and that's what Shaya was.
Right. And I think she felt like she didn't want to put too much on or ask too much of Shaya.
Yes.
And her boyfriend or her fiance at the time. But and I think a little bit, I think that was a lot of it too, that she just didn't want to be a burden, basically.
Yes, especially with, at the time in the beginning of the book, Shaya is planning a wedding.
Right.
So, she's like, okay, you got this going on. I don't want to interfere with that. It's a time for you to be happy. Don't worry about me.
Right. But everybody needs a best friend like that, because she was really there for her, because Ebony was definitely going through some things for real.
Yeah, and she followed her journey from the beginning of the book all the way to the end.
All the way.
Yes, love that. And I also love the relationship between Bass and Defari.
Yes.
He was his, his protector, and Defari was his king, but they were also really close friends.
Very close friends. he just felt responsible for Dafari in so many different ways. And Boss actually is getting his own story. That's going to be releasing probably in next year sometime.
Oh, okay.
So you guys will get to see the reverse of that with Boz having his own story. But honestly, Boz was so fun to write. I could not give him his own story. I just couldn't. He's such a just such a strong character and such a support for Dafari, and the women just went crazy over him. And his character is completely opposite of Dafari because, as you guys read, Dafari is the king. He's cool.
Right.
He's gentlemanlike. Boz is a savage. He doesn't have to be.
Although he didn't come off that way, he
right.
He
doesn't have to be that way. So.
Right. People thought he was. I think it was said somebody thought he was a nerd or something, but
yeah. Yep.
No.
Now this was kind of linked to the other question, but what was your favorite scene to write and why?
My favorite scene to write probably was, I think it was when Ebony had the baby.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah. Like it was just so cute to bring two people together who love each other, and and I don't mind that spoiler because in most romance books that happens. Right. I loved writing that scene, like to have a king feel so vulnerable now, gushing over a baby.
That was a touching scene because I believe he cried, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, that was like one of my favorite scenes. Right. And the scene where Boz punches a certain someone.
Oh yeah.
That was fun. That was a fun scene to write. Yeah. I had been waiting on that. I was like, I want to put it in this chapter. I knew that was gonna happen from the beginning of the book. It was like so I was so happy to write that.
Yes.
I even was like, yes, to myself.
What was your favorite scene, Tina? One of your favorite scenes that stood out to you?
Well, it was probably one of the more, I guess, heartbreaking ones. It was the Shea and Ebony.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah.
Toward the end. Yeah.
Oh, that was hard to write.
I was like, oh no.
My heart was breaking. Like,
right.
Yeah, that was tough. That was
tough. That was tough to read. It was like I had all the feels with that, like, because she knew, what Shea meant to her, and inside she was screaming like
it was breaking her heart.
Yeah, that was really tough to write, and I struggled with, should I let her in and let them figure it out? But the reason I didn't is because if you read my work, you will notice that I write really strong heroines. Like the women are the heroes in my stories.
Okay.
I rarely write about damsel in distress. Now, Ebony very much came across as a
damsel in the beginning. Yeah.
But as you read the book, you see her strength. And you see what she does. So all my work, it's the woman who saves the day, who's the hero, without emasculating the man or making the man seem less than and not his role. You see what I'm saying? So if I would have let her in, I think it would have taken away from the focus of just her being the one who saves the day and brings everything together.
Right.
So that's really why I decided to go.
And I can see that, even though at the time I wanted to shake Ebony, like, what are you doing? What are you doing? But
I know.
I know. But it was tough to write. Yeah. And you see, even Boz was mad about it. Like people So
yes. And let's talk a little bit about the main characters. Let's start with Dafari. for people who are new to the book and are planning to get it, can you describe his character a little bit?
Yes. So Defari is a chocolate, sexy, tall man.
Yes.
His description came to me after I was watching Queen Sugar one night, and
Okay.
Ralph Angel.
Uh-huh.
I saw him and was like, oh, like that's how I would want Defari to look,
Okay.
So, but his personality and who he is as a man, he is a gentleman. He is a thinker. He does not act off of impulse. He's smart. He's calculated. And he takes his role serious, even though he had the weight of the country on his shoulders.
Right.
And he is a man of integrity. He's a man of integrity. And he just was a pleasure to write. He really was. Now, none of my male characters are perfect. I mean, where's the fun in that?
Right, right.
We want realistic. So you'll read there were some things about him that you're probably screaming like, really, Defari? Like, no. So there's that, but for the most part, he is just very much just that calm gentleman that's gonna be there for his woman, have her back, and just be an amazing partner to her.
Yes, I agree, and I can see that. And he was very steadfast, and that's what she needed. She needed somebody that she could feel safe, especially with everything that she was dealing with.
Yeah,
and even then, she still, hesitated in coming clean with him about everything.
Yeah.
But I loved how strong and secure he was, and how he made her feel. And I love that he called her princess.
Yeah. And she never knew why for the longest time.
Right.
She thought it was just the nickname.
Right.
So, so yeah.
Because he always knew that she was his princess. She was going to be, she was the one. Okay, let's get into Ebony a little bit, her character.
So Ebony's character, again, she's a dark-skinned, beautiful woman. I feel like a lot of the romance stories and stuff I read, the women were always light-skinned, looking, light color eyes, and to each his own. I'm not here to bash what anybody's character are, but for me, I wanted to write about a beautiful dark-skinned woman. I'm not dark-skinned, but I just love dark-skinned women. They're so beautiful. I mean, we're beautiful anyway because we come in all colors. Right. But just reading about a beautiful dark-skinned woman, I was like, yes, this is what I'm going to do for her. And she can be very stubborn, as you probably saw from the gate. But she also is very strong-minded. She's super smart. And she is also calculated. She had a reason for everything that she did.
Right.
A reason for Tori while she was with him.
Right.
A reason for the jobs. A reason for she had everything in line of this plan of what it was supposed to be. But Defari just so happened to intersect. So I didn't want her to just accept everything from him. I needed to show the readers that this is a woman who has a past and was down in her luck in this past, but found a way to climb out of it. Even if it wasn't connected to him, it wasn't given. Right. It wasn't like, oh, here's money, go do what you need to do.
Right.
She worked hard for the position that she got. Oh, yeah.
And you did a good job with the showing the struggle that she had with what she was dealing with in her past and trying to move forward, and even the simple things like trying to maintain a good job with benefits and all of that. So I thought that was good. Who was the character inspiration that you have for her, if anybody, for Ebony?
I did not have a character inspiration for her. I just kind of wrote what I would like her to look like.
Okay.
Yeah. and then the name Ebony came out of that.
Mm. Who did your book cover? I love the cover.
Thank you. I worked closely with my publisher to tell them what I wanted and what the vision was, and that's what they came up with. And I was in here doing somersaults. I was like, oh my gosh, yes! And even with the audio, you hear the accents, which was so important to me.
Mm-hmm.
So important. Like, I love to keep everything authentic, and I was like, oh gosh, I hope this works. I hope the accent works.
Right.
Some people get annoyed. Everybody don't like accents, and some people may struggle with that over audio, like, oh, I can't deal with this voice. But I think the narrator did an amazing job of having the accent, but not sounding like just tone, like, one tone and just boring.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think, Tina, with the audio?
I preferred it because it made me feel like I was there.
Okay.
It made it more authentic, and relatable.
Right.
With it. And I prefer it because you're right. There are some audibles that as soon as you hear the first couple notes, you're like, no, it's not gonna work. But there's even something simple as like a wheezing or something that's all you hear like the whole time is like, or some kind of something in their throat that's agitating. And that's all you can focus on is that. But this was a good one for me.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. That makes me so happy. Thank you.
Absolutely good one for me. Mm-hmm.
Did you end up having were there any challenges in writing the book?
There were some challenges. Just the heartbreaking scenes were challenging. From Ebony to Dafari to the scene with Shea, I would find myself starting it, putting it up, picking it back up, even down to when she went to the girls' home to talk with Trina, like, putting all that together and just in my mind thinking about girls who are really in that situation or situations that actually happen, like with Ebony. It can become emotional when you're writing those types of scenes. So I would take a break, go back to it, take a break, go back to it.
Because that was one of the questions I had as far as the foster care system and her Trina and Ebony's relationship and how they basically both were on the run, and how Trina she had this attitude type, but I guess you would have to for everything that she was going through and being in this
she only really trusted Ebony, and she's now in this situation, and it's how she has to be. So
and I loved how you ended where she ended up as far as because you could have had it where she moved with Ebony.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting how you made it where she decided to, no, I'm gonna stay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna forge my own path, even at that young age.
Yeah, she definitely took advantage of. I mean, she was smart, and so she was able to take advantage of that and forge her own path. So
yeah. Now, with the foster care system, well, you didn't delve too much into that, but was that intentional, putting that in the story as far as her being in foster care and not necessarily being with Ebony?
Yeah, it was intentional. It was intentional because Ebony was already having a hard time by herself. And, she just knew she wouldn't have been able to do for her and Trina. So this was like the best thing for her to be able to do. At least she would have a roof over her head, food, things that she may not be able to provide for her.
because it was difficult reading because there's so many people that are in that situation where
Mm-hmm.
she was trying to decide. She was like, okay, I won't eat
Mm-hmm.
for a
Yeah.
couple of days. That broke my heart right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It is a lot of people in that situation, and honestly, it's a lot of people in the situation with the dynamic of her and her boss. Like
oh
just
yeah.
working under someone that just makes it hard for you, and they don't even know your story. You know,
Hmm.
this lady is making it hard for her, not knowing what her story is.
Right.
If she would have known her story, she probably would have been a little more sympathetic and wouldn't have done what she did. But
Right.
she's looking at her like, oh, you're coming in late, you're lazy, you're, things like that. So it goes back to this poem I remember reading from a kid in elementary school, and it says something along the lines of, "I got up this morning, I had to make my little sister breakfast. Then my mom didn't wash my clothes, so I had to do this. I had to catch 3 buses to get to school, and then I get to class, and my teacher fusses at me for not having a pencil."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it goes back to something like that, you know. So I just try to write relatable characters. I try to write to touch on certain topics that are real, even though I may have never experienced it, just to kind of shed some light on, just different things going on in the world.
And um, and you did a great job making them relatable. And like I said, just from that scene alone, with her having to decide what she's going to eat, or if she's going to be able to eat, or what meal she's going to have to skip. But
Mhm.
with the thing with the boss, I actually related to that because I had that situation where I had a female supervisor, and it seemed like the when I had the female supervisor, it was always
Mhm.
from the very beginning, like um, instead of support,
Yep.
you got a lot of the negative. But when I had male supervisors,
Yeah.
the total opposite. So and I don't know why that is. I don't know why
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah. She didn't give her a break at all. Like,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like she said, it happened from the beginning, so it wasn't
Mhm.
even based on what she
Yep.
said the reason was.
Yep.
Tina, did you have any questions or comments for LR?
I wanted to, if we can touch on, if I'm saying this right, Inu,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
um, and that relationship with Dafari, I guess, and with the father, and how
Mhm.
he felt about all of that.
Yeah.
That was an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. So, I was raised an only child, but I found out I had a sister 4 years ago.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, she was adopted. We found each other on Ancestry. DNA linked us, and it's like you would think we grew up together. We're so close. But in telling my story to other people, people with siblings would always say, "Oh, you're lucky because me and my brother don't get along, or I can't stand my sister, or my brother this and my sister that." And I'm like, "Really? Like that's how it is?" But there is also a certain pressure that's put on an oldest child or an
Mhm.
only child. I'm an only
Right.
child, my parents' only child. My parents get sick or something. Well, now not my dad anymore, but it's just me to
Right.
carry the weight. So I took from that as to here Dafari is the firstborn. He's the one that's groomed to be king.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Um, but also Enu was reckless.
Mm.
As a parent, I have one kid, but in talking to people with multiple children as a parent, you know which child is responsible and
Right.
which child is not is not.
You do.
So just being able to show just kind of the path of how the Fari was viewed and how Enu pretty much did his own thing and how that created resentment um,
Mm.
in Enu. Yes, Jennifer, it is a romance.
Yep, it's a second chance romance, Jennifer. You'll love it.
Yeah. So that's really where I drew that from. But also showing the unconditional love. If you notice, Dafari, no matter what Inu said or how much Inu tried to challenge him,
Yeah.
that's my little brother, that's my little
Right.
brother. And it ended up not working out for him, throughout the story. So
And I think a lot of that came from the way he was. Jennifer says she's the oldest out of 7.
Ah,
wow, Jennifer.
wow.
But yeah, I think a lot of that came from what I was reading. They babied him and they let him get away with when he did something. Whenever he did anything, he got away with it. They babied him, and he didn't have any true consequences.
That's true. That's true.
And so it was nothing to build character. So,
and also, I don't think Inu never did anything to even prepare for the position.
Right.
It was like, okay, I'm the son, I should get it too.
Right.
All the things that you read that Dafari did and trained to get from birth to now to get him to raise that, Inu didn't do that. Thank you, Jennifer. I hope you enjoy it. So
yeah, Inu was something else, and
yeah.
And you hear about like siblings or even just cousins or whatever, and there's jealousy and envy, and and it festers and festers, and so I could relate to that because I was thinking about I was just watching something on the news here in Michigan where they were looking for a female who died, and it turns out it was the cousin.
Oh wow!
Who had something to do with it, and so family members. I mean, it happens, and you have to think about, just because they're blood, they don't always.
And even after everything, Dafari still,
right? He was still the big brother, and still looked at him as his little brother, no matter what.
No matter what.
Whoa.
Now, as far as the mother, did it seem like she played that? Because I think Inu made a comment that Jafari was the father's favorite, but he was the mother's favorite. But I didn't really get that sense that he was.
I got that though. I got that.
Did you?
I did.
Yeah, she babied him a lot. I think she would tell him, she would kind of put him in his place, but for the most part, there wasn't really any consequences.
True.
Right.
He just would say something and let it roll off. It had the father. If it was the father, I think there would have been something actually done. So yeah.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you're right. I can see that because it ties back to what I was just saying, that he was baby. So yeah, she was the one that was doing.
Yeah.
And Dafari in some instances covering for him and making excuses for him and things. But yeah, but we're getting close to our time. I can't believe how fast this went.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you. It's 2 questions I usually ask. One is, if you could write in any other genre, what genre would you try your hand at?
Oh, that's a tough one because I am a romance person. I think if I was going to try another genre, it would be maybe a thriller.
Okay, and I love thrillers.
Only because of the way I write the suspense elements in my romances. I think I could kind of translate it over to thriller.
Yeah, that would be I think so too. It would be a good transition. And the other question is, what keeps you motivated in writing and in life?
What keeps me motivated in writing are the people who read my stories. When I started this journey, I didn't care if it was just one reader. If just one person read my book, I've made it. You know, so I feel successful in my own right. I haven't hit the New York Times. I haven't hit the USA Today.
It's
Um,
coming.
yeah, thank you. I haven't hit it yet. And you know, there are a lot of authors that are popular. You just know their name. But I feel so successful with the journey that I've made. When people reach out to me about my work and tell me how much they love my stories, it is just the best feeling in the world and just makes me want to just continue writing great stories. That's what it's about for me. It's about writing great stories
Mm-hmm.
for the world and representation. Like, what would I want to read? In life, what motivates me is, I would say, my daughter. She'll be 21 this year. I'm a single mom, been a single mom
Okay.
all my life. And, you know, she keeps me motivated. I hope that I've set an example for her to pursue her dreams. Hopefully, when she sees the things that I'm doing, she'll tap into her passions and you know, and follow suit and just know that she can do whatever it is that she wants to do.
I love it. I love that. And you mentioned that you were going to do Boz's story. Is that coming anytime?
Yeah.
Do you know when that's coming, or is
It
there?
will be in 2024, I believe, either 2024 or 2025. I don't have a release date or anything, but the story's done. It's amazing. Boz is a savage. He's completely different than Nefari.
Okay.
Get a little more grit. And
Good.
there's an explosive plot to that story as well, one that you definitely won't see coming.
Yeah.
I look forward to reading it. I can't wait.
Me
And
too.
can you tell everybody where they can reach you and stay in contact? I do also have it in the description, but
Yes, yes. So you can follow me on Facebook under Author L.R. Jackson. If you want to follow my personal page, that's Wanda Renee, WandaRenee. I'm on Instagram under L.R. Jackson Author, and I'm under TikTok as Author L.R. Jackson. So those are my platforms. I was on Twitter, but my Facebook got hacked about a few months ago, and it was hell getting it back. I was able to get the page back, the Instagram back, but now I can't get into Twitter, and I can't figure it out, and I haven't been on there. But yes, so that's cool. And if you follow me on Facebook under the LR Jackson Hangout. It's a private group. I post excerpts, spoilers, things like that before it goes to the public. I do giveaways, all that good stuff. So be sure to follow the group as well.
all right, and I'll put that in the comments
Thank you.
afterwards.
Thank you.
And make sure everybody that you go out and get
Get it.
The Accidental Queen. It was very, very good.
Very good.
Very, very. I love the characters, and I love the second chance romance, their love story, and I love the secondary characters. All well developed, so I highly recommend it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you for coming on the show. And
Thank you, ladies, for having me. It's been
you're
so much
welcome.
fun.
And I'll stay in
Until
touch.
next time.
You have to come back when the next book comes out.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. And thank you, everyone in the audience, for participating and being engaged. And if you enjoy what you heard, please share the broadcast. And I'll see you Thursday. I will be speaking with Entice and Author Untamed about their novel Soldiers of Love. So I hope you can join me then. That's this Thursday at 7 p.m. All right. Good evening, everybody.
Bye.